Hello there. Today we're kind of continuing the last video where I was working on setting up remote VGA capture and networking through patch panels and trying to get my office a little better sorted out. Now today I have a topic kind of related to that, and I'm also going to just be doing that again here, but it relates to my IBM 5150 here. And the thing is, I've never networked this computer, and I've kind of always wanted to. Now, I did a video where I set up FreeDOS on this thing so I could use larger file systems, and I have a CH375 USB adapter card in here so I can plug in flash drives, and I've done a video about that as well. Those working together make it really easy to sneakernet data onto this thing, but I've never tried just sending files over the network. So today I have a couple of options for any 2000 compatible network cards, and we're gonna run more networking cable to get this thing online. Now, I have right here another patch panel that I can run cables to, and I'm going to be doing that today to get the network extended to this area where the IBM 5150 is. Now, I'm not going to bore you with watching me do all of that again. If you want to know more about this, I highly recommend you check out my last video. But I will show you a couple of things as we work through this, and more specifically, how I'm going to be doing remote CGA capture, because that's going to be interesting. And one flaw with the design that I wanted to do that ultimately isn't going to work. But I got a lot of work to do, and yeah, just gonna get started on it. I haven't talked about this area too much, and that's partly because I kind of want to do a dedicated video on it, but I'm trying to set up like an 80s home office themed space for me to record in. So I've been trying to gather furniture and pieces that are highly related to that. So I actually have some pretty cool things that I've been getting going here, like the cart that I'm wheeling this 5150 away on, but that's all for a future video. For now though, I just need to focus on getting this panel run with new cables that are actually going to go up through the wall and then over that way, which is in a completely different room. That's where the VGA capture and networking stuff is. So now I need to get up into the ceiling and see what I'm in for here, because this is the panel I am most concerned about running cables to in the office. Okay, so what I'm looking for, how the cables are running, and I see it. There's a hole in the 2x4 right there, which seems to be directly above the cable panel there, which is really good because I was afraid it was going to be off to the side and I was going to have to try and fish the cables through a distance of wall. So now I'm a little relieved about this. So let me get that panel off down there and then see what it's like pulling the cables one way or another and trying to get some down there. Get this out, and we have bare wall with, there is insulation here. Wow, that's weird. This is the only wall I've seen insulation in. This fake wall definitely doesn't have insulation. That one, yeah, definitely big difference in sound. Okay, so I will not want to breathe that. And I'm definitely gonna need the guide rod here. So I'm gonna go grab that, but I can see the cables are just right in there. You can see probably pink foam as well. But yeah, and it seems to be right along a 2x4. So if I put the cable in and jam it slightly sideways, I bet this will go pretty quickly. So let me get that and try it out. It's run. This one is really complicated, but it's doable. So yeah, before I touch any of that, I'm gonna go run the red stuff for Ethernet, actual proper TCP/IP networking, and then I'll catch back up with you. 50 foot was only exactly long enough, so I'm just gonna go at 50 foot again on this because, well, actually this is probably gonna need slightly less, but I'm just gonna run it the same just because I think everything's gonna be the same at that point. So yeah. All right. Both sets are done now. That was, that part sucks with the no conduit, so that's good to know. And a future tool to add to the kit of things for doing this, gloves, because my hands are going crazy from the fiberglass, from the insulation. I didn't ID the ends of the cables. Well, at least I can just do one end of each one. There's 4 colors, and then see if they connect. If not, then I can fairly confidently know that it's the other one. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the ends, and then we can go ahead and continue on with the actual fun thing of trying to get networking on that computer. Now, while we're over here, I want to briefly talk about sending CGA itself over these cables rather than VGA and doing the conversion all locally, because if I move a CGA computer over to the other desk, now I'm going to have to move the CGA adapter, which is not what I want to do. So I have a couple of different solutions that I want to explore at some point. This is a DB15 connector, and then I have DB9 connectors, and I can make a cable there, which would actually be effectively the same as this, which is DB15 to DB9. Now, I've already checked the pinout for that cable and put it up here along with the pin names for CGA and VGA. And the odd thing is that VGA is really a 3-signal standard, but CGA is 4. Both of these have red, green, and blue right there and there, but the problem is that CGA has an intensity line as well. Now, CGA is a digital signal. It's just on or off. Analog VGA is analog because it varies the signal through the color channels rather than setting this one's bright or this one's dark. Now, the problem is that I have nowhere to send the intensity signal through one of these VGA extender things. So the plan was initially to try and just send CGA through one of the VGA extenders, but because of that intensity pin, I can't really do that. So my next best idea is to actually just directly connect CGA to an RG45 connector and try running that through to the other end, and then doing CGA conversion locally, which will actually be not super compatible with the desk that I set up, but that might be compatible with the other thing, and then at least allow me to do CGA conversion at the workbench. So I might try that, not in this video. This video is not really about this whole setup. I'm just wanting to give you an idea of how I'm going to be doing VGA capture in the other room. But now we can actually get started on putting a network card in the 5150. We've got video out, so let's do network in. Okay, it's the next day and several hours into the day because this has been very annoying. So first off, VGA capture is working. So I can come over here and I'm actually remote desktop into my VGA capture system here, so I can control it and get the video feed there and start recording and stuff. So that's working great, and this is being connected over the wall panel for internet as well. So that's all working good. This thing, though, has apparently decided to be a huge pain. If I Control-Alt-Delete here, you may have noticed that it was booted into BASIC. This thing has an XT-IDE in it, and it should be able to boot the hard drive. So right here, it says booting C. It waits a little bit, and then gives up and tries to boot the floppy drive. I have no idea why. And it's actually even weirder than that, because this is not my 5150, this is my 5160. I have the 5150 off that way. I tried swapping out the computers. I even moved the floppy drive into here to take out the 10 megabyte hard drive because I don't want to mess with that. I can't get it to boot the XT-IDE anymore. I have no idea why. I just set it up with FreeDOS in a video not too long ago and it worked great. But now it doesn't work in either the 5150 or the 5160. And I seriously, I have no idea why. My best guess is that it's power supplies, because I can take out the XT-IDE card and go put it in the Compaq portable and then it will boot just fine. So it's not the install or the adapter, it's the computers. And unfortunately, the only commonality between the two computers is time. So I probably just need to recap the power splice. That's my guess, because yeah, those seem to be going bad on everything. But we can actually continue with the Compaq portable, so I'm gonna swap that into this thing's place and we'll just continue from there. That will actually complicate CGA capture though, because the rules for when that thing outputs video are really weird. So this is the XT-IDE I normally use in the Compaq portable, but I'm gonna leave it out and put the one that I use in the 5150 in here, because I just want to demonstrate it does boot. And I don't know why that computer won't, because it is the weirdest thing. And booted. Ver, DOS 5. I don't know. Yeah, and because the Compaq portable is super weird, it's not outputting video. It'll only do it if you run like an actual CGA application. Like I could run Planet X3 or VET on here, and then it would output video, but it won't do it for just text. I don't know. There's probably rules to it that I don't understand, but oh well. Sorry, just gonna have to shoot off screen, I guess. This is why I had a 5150 set up here, because it's supposed to be the convenient computer that just works, but no. Let's bring this back to the actual topic for today though. Getting Ethernet working on a PC, and I'm going to be using this D-Link card to do this, and I actually have two of these, and both of them are brand new, and I've just opened this one already so I can figure out what is all in here. But if I get this open, we can take a look at this, and we see we have a driver disk on 3.5. That's going to be fun to get working on our XT. We have the card itself, which you'll notice is 16-bit ISA, but is not a problem. And then we have the manual and a product guide. Ooh, what else do we got here? A fancier card, a PCMCIA card, some kind of modem, some switches, a lot of switches. Yeah, so that's a thing here. But I want to look in the manual real quick, because there is something to note that is directly relevant to us. Support for 8-bit and 16-bit expansion slots. It claims it can be used in an 8-bit XT style ISA slot. Now, what this really means is we'll probably get a lower throughput, but when we plug this in, we're only going to have this portion of the connector actually plugged into the computer, and then this will just hang off. Now, on some systems, this can be a problem if there are obstructions where this is, and if you're really naughty, you can just cut that off, but I'm not going to be doing that, I hope. On the Compaq portable, we're just going to have to plug this in and then get it going. And this section here is how we will be doing it. This card is compatible with any 2000 drivers, which are going to be packet drivers that a lot of programs are going to be compatible with from this time. So it should actually be fairly easy to get going. Now, the other problem with the Compaq portable is that it is slightly sparse on slots, at least compared to the 5160. We have the floppy controller here, and then we have the CGA controller, and then I have a RAM card that brings up to 640K. So realistically, we only have 2 free slots here for doing fun stuff, and that one's got an XT-IDE that we really can't remove because we have to boot and install stuff. So the only really free slot we have is this one, which contains the CH375 I did a video on a while ago. We're going to be removing that, but this allows you to use flash drives to transfer files to a system like this, which is very handy. But the whole point of today is trying out networking. So we're going to have to pull that and then put the network card in here instead. All right, there it is screwed in, so that will work. And I'm going to have to go ahead and remove the Compaq flash card and just transfer the drivers over manually, since I only have a 3.5-inch driver disk. All right, I've got the system booting up right now, but I'm feeling pretty confident we're going to get this working. So I'm going to go ahead and plug the network cable into the Compaq portable right now while it is booting. All right, we are booted in, and I've turned the lights down so I don't wash out the screen, but we're ready to get this going, and this computer is still just outrageously pretty. Just, oh man, I like it. But we have a couple of things we want to do. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but the thing that we're going to be using to make this thing actually work over the network is MTCP. We're not going to be browsing the internet or anything. Our main objective here is to be able to transfer files over the network, because realistically, it's a text display. Even with CGA graphics, there is nothing web related you can do. So FTP and maybe BBS or something like that is about as good as you're gonna get. Now, what we need to do is edit the config.sys file to load the packet driver on start. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, the file we need to add is called DE220, well, 22X PD packet driver, and it is a COM file, and then we have to add a port. Now this basically adds a software port for a program to be able to know where to access this driver. So commonly the port is 60, and that's hex. So we're actually going to put 96 here, which is the integer version of 60 as hex. So we can go ahead and save that, and now we can reboot. Okay, I don't think that packet driver likes this system. This is one of those good times to have the ability to pull the Compaq flash card out and fix a change. Although, in the olden days, you could then boot your installation floppy, go through and edit the file to get it back to normal. But yeah, we have an easier way now. I would like to show you how this progressed on, but I have an hour and a half's worth of footage of me fighting through a bunch of issues after this, and not all of them I really could have predicted. I've set up networking on my 486 before, and I've used packet drivers, and we're actually going to be using MTCP by Mike Brutman here, and I thought this was going to be very easy to get set up on an 8088 system, because you just install the packet driver, get the card going, configure MTCP, and move on. However, there was something that no amount of research into networking on an 8088 could have led me to, and that was the fact that the XT-IDE operates on the same port that most networking cards do by default. So I was actually running into trouble where the XT-IDE was colliding with the network card and causing everything to just break, and I didn't know this until much later on, and I decided to switch to a 3COM networking card in Etherlink 3 rather than the novel 2000 compatible cards that I was using before. I probably could have got those working once I figured out the XT-IDE thing, but the Etherlink card had a pretty nice community modified driver and configuration utility that made it work really well on an 8088 once I finally figured it out. But I had to solve the XT-IDE thing, which ended up being something I had not done because I was sent these cards pre-configured, so I had to go out and get the exact matching version of the configuration utility to change the port on the card so it would actually be compatible with a network card. Once that was done, I then had unexpected configuration issues with the 3COM card that I didn't really know how to solve. So what I ended up doing was making a post on Twitter asking about it, and then I got some feedback on that, and then decided to take a look at it on stream, which is kind of helpful for me to just bounce ideas off of people who may have done these kinds of things before. So the rest of this video actually concluded in a stream. Hi, I'm currently live during the stream, as I mentioned I would be doing, and I went back and looked at the configuration utility for the Etherlink card, and that actually got me somewhere. So I made a post about this on Twitter last night, and some people were saying, you know, you have to go through and change some of the settings on there, and I did go through and change all of the settings to as most basic and DOS-like as possible, and with some help from Twitch chat viewers here, who I'm very appreciative for. But we actually got it working. IRQ10 is not going to work. Well, let's go ahead and change that. How about 5? You like 5? I think 5 should work. I don't think anything in here is using 5. Let's go with that. We're going to set transceiver to TCP twisted pair. Let's see here. What optimization do we want? Okay, I don't know about this. Everyone I've ever seen do this has it set to Windows. Do I want to change it to DOS client? Inherently, I feel like yes. And I'm going to disable plug and play. Okay,
That all looks good. 305. No boot ROM, transceivers, RJ45. DOS 9600 baud, which I just okay. I don't see that mattering. All right, I'm gonna set it. Selected IO base address is being used by another device installed on this computer. Yeah, it's used by the network card. Specified configuration now being saved to the NIC. Okay. And that's it. Turned out, yeah, that it was a configuration issue. I've not gone back and tried the new card yet. I don't know if there's a configuration utility on here that I will need, but I have one working. I'm gonna call that good enough, because that's all I really wanted to get going. So let me just quickly run through here what is going on. So I have the MTCP application running, and what I can do is run FTP SRV. Like I was trying to do so many times before yesterday, except this time it's gonna work. All right, so here it is up and running. We have a DHCP address of 192.168.12.177. And if I come over to the computer I'm currently streaming from, I can connect to the server here. There we are. And I have tested, I can actually transfer files both ways. So here I will go ahead and copy over the files for the CH375. Bingo. So that is a way that you could actually easily copy files to and from an 8088 system. You know, so easy. Just go through all that hair pulling. Okay, I have an objective that I want to try with networking with the computer now that it's actually set up. And the goal here is to do a disk image of the new print shop for IBM and Tandy. So this is a program that is on a 360K disk. It's not a rare program. I'm sure this has been backed up tons of times. There were a couple of copies of print shop sold. But I think it would be fun to just use this as an example of some kind of use case for networking. And in this case, I'm going to copy the software for doing the disk imaging to the Compaq portable over the network. Then I will create a disk image and then copy the disk image back onto my modern computer so that I then have a backed up copy of it. After starting the FTP server, I can come over to the laptop, and with FileZilla here, I can do a quick connection, except the fact that it's using an older protocol. But then we have access to the files. So drive C is exposed. If there were floppy disks in A and B, you could actually access those directly through the computer this way, but it would be brutally slow. You'd really probably don't want to do that. But with this, I'm going to go ahead and copy over my disk imaging tools, which are using Mike Brutman's DSK image. I just tend to prefer that one on older systems. So I'm going to upload that. The DOS computer here is going to get all excited and start accepting the files. And we can see the queue at the bottom of the program. And done. Okay, now let's go ahead and do some work on the Compaq itself. All right, I am going to close out the FTP server here, and then I'm going to go up and go into the image directory. That's right, I don't have 4DOS installed. Here we go, and now we can see the program I transferred over along with the different little wrapper batch files I made. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the print shop disk in here now. There we are. With that in there, we can do a dir A, just make sure the disk is good. And yep, files are on there. Now we can run R360, and this will make a disk image of print shop. That was a nice quick disk image. So that will be in the from folder now. There it is. And if I wanted to get really fancy, I could rename this before we copy it, but we're just gonna go ahead and copy it right over. So I'm gonna go back up to MTCP, and I'm gonna run the FTP server again. Now that the file server is running again, I can connect to it from the laptop. Bingo. I can go see image from and I can copy the disk image from there to my computer. Okay, now that we have a disk image on here, just for grins and giggles, I'm gonna open it up in something. All right, so here I'm gonna use the HXC floppy software that I've been working with for disk imaging, but I believe we can copy this file in, and then if just for giggles, we could see a track sector view of it, which is pretty much completely meaningless. But what we can also do here is go into a disk browser, and there we go. We can see files in the disk, and we know we have a good copy. Well, all right, there is a use case of networking your very vintage PC. It's not my favorite thing to do this, I would say, after having experienced the many pains of trying to get this set up. That was way more difficult than I thought it would be, and I'm still thinking about trying to get this card going, and from what I've been told, I might have to plug it into a 16-bit ISA system first to use the configuration utility that won't run on an 8088 to configure it to run on an 8088, which is kind of dumb and a whole pain. Like, why does it even have a 8-bit ISA slot support if it can't do 8-bit ISA computer stuff? I don't know. It's blah. So you know what? I'm going back to plug a CH375 into your system, use a flash drive, sneakernet it. It's way easier. This does give you a static setup where if you have like a server running somewhere, this MTCP program can also run as an FTP client and copy files from a server or push files to a server. So you could do it that way and then never need to unplug or plug stuff, which is kind of the reason that I wanted network run to the 5150 corner over there, so that I could just pull files or push files from my server without having to plug in stuff all the time. But I don't know, I'm not completely sold on this yet. I might leave the card in there for a little bit and experiment with it, especially if I can get the 5160 running and have both. That'll definitely give me an opportunity to get more comfortable with it. But for right now, yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of better options, but that is it for the moment. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me pull my hair out for this, because this was a very frustrating video that went on for way longer than I thought it would to get it working. At least I did get it working in the end, and I do have the opportunity to try it out now. So yeah, there's that. If you enjoyed this video, you may want to subscribe, because I'm sure I will rack my brain with future vintage computer problems like this. I just blah. And if you want to support the channel, you can find me on Patreon. But that is for the moment, and I will see you next time.